Hey there, Mr. Reddit here. Welcome back to another episode of r/entitled Parent Stories. Our first story we'll be reading today. Fire me for not cheating your customers? Go bankrupt and lose your bar. After that, am I the jerk for refusing to grant my father's dying wish? And after that, Karen thinks I must cater to her needs. She gets put in her place and kicked out of the store. Now for every thumbs up this video gets, one Karen gets kicked out of the store. Can't do this to me. So please smash that like button. And if you're new, subscribe and turn on notifications for new stories from Reddit every single day. Fire me for not cheating your customers? Go bankrupt and lose your bar. This happened about 5 or 6 years ago when I worked as an assistant bar manager for the worst bosses ever, who we will call Scum Boss and Less Scum. Backstory. These are two bankers who had too much money and decided to buy a bar whilst not having any hospitality experience between the two of them. When they employed me, I was only a bar assistant, but because of their scumminess and micromanaging habits, it made the bar manager and assistant bar manager quit, and I rose to the position. I was good at my job and have always been in hospitality, so I was qualified to be promoted. Our bar is open from 10 a.m. till 2 a.m., so when I became the manager, I didn't have anyone to do split shifts with, as it took them so long to hire someone else. I'd be working from 8 a.m. till 3 a.m. 6 days a week without any complaints. I liked my staff, but I hated my bosses. I was able to form good relationships with customers, so we had loads of regulars coming in when we were open. The sin. So Scum Boss and Less Scum had no idea how to serve tables, let alone run a bar. But they refused to listen to any of our suggestions and still wanted massive profits. One way to keep tabs on big party reservations, when the customers in these parties were drunk beyond belief, they wanted us to add items in their orders that they didn't order and manually increase the prices for any liquor that they bought by the bottle so that their bill would be higher. The previous staff were compliant in following their orders, but I had my morals, so I refused to cheat customers. Scum Boss wasn't happy that I wouldn't listen to him, so he made sure to make it known that he didn't fancy me. He'd constantly berate me in front of new staff or his guests. He'd constantly bring his coworkers in the bar to show off that he was some kind of a big shot in the bar. So finally, Scum Boss decided it was time to get rid of me so that they could replace me with a yes man that wouldn't question them, so they decided to sack me and accuse me of stealing tips, giving away free drinks to my regulars, and mistreating the staff. By this time, I already had another job lined up as I had enough of them, so I wasn't really perturbed by losing the job. My issue was that they refused to give me my last paycheck because they had to give my severance, any overtime pay, as well as pay any outstanding annual leave I had. I worked 19 hours a day when I only had to work 8 hours, so I had lots of overtime and had lots of annual leave left as I couldn't take any vacations because no one could cover me, so they had to pay me a good $6,000 to $7,000 for firing me. The revenge. After holding my rightly deserved money back for 2 months, I decided to report them to some government agencies. I reported them to the manpower department, telling them of my work hours and only being given 30 minutes break time, the treatment of their staff, as well as their habit of hiring people on tourist visas. If you're on a tourist visa, you're not allowed to work, otherwise you're classified as illegal. I also gave the environment agency a ring and reported the horrible environment of the bar. We had roaches, rats, and when I told the bosses, they just ignored me and said I should keep it to myself. In addition to most of their staff not having the proper prior food handling training, my staff resigned when I got sacked, so most of the leftover staff were their yes men who loved sucking up to them. I then met up with some of my regulars who have become my drinking buddies and learned that Scum Boss and Less Scum have been telling customers that looked for me that I quit. So when I told them the whole story of what transpired, they got furious and told all their friends and colleagues to not frequent the bar anymore. They didn't like the bosses as well, but came to the bar because of me. Last I heard, manpower agents audited them and discovered that 80% of the staff were illegal and that they were overworking their staff as well as mistreating them. An environment agent came unannounced the following week and discovered the pest infestation, hence making the bar's cleanliness rating as D. They got fined about $20,000 for this negligence, and because my regulars stopped coming to the bar, they only had 20 to 30% of their usual customers. They ended up going bankrupt and closing the bar. I, on the other hand, got my money as well as a good story to tell. Have you ever had a boss mistreat you? If so, what did you do about it? Please let us know. Most employees deserve to be mistreated. Am I the jerk for refusing to grant my father's dying wish? My father, who's 59, and I were never really close in the early stages of my childhood. He was always busy at work and had never taken proper care of me. All of that burden had fallen onto my mother, who did the best she could to put me through school. That all soon went to crap due to information about an affair with another woman, who is his current wife. I have very little memory of my father and I having actual conversations past the age of 12, and I could count on one hand the amount of times he visited me. He has never coddled me in my life and missed all of my major life events, graduations, birthdays, and my engagement. Now, my father had 2 kids with his now wife. One is 15, female, and the other is 6, male. I've met these people only a few times and have exchanged nothing but formalities. Due to prior heart complications and the years taking a toll on him, he's currently at his last moments. I was visiting him in the hospital a week prior, and he told me he wished for me to further financially support his family if they were to ever run into hot water. I'm aware that my father had a previous gambling addiction, but I wasn't aware how bad it was. I told him in no such way was I doing that, and had previously got a job opportunity out of state that I intended to take. He got angry at me and asked how I could do that without telling him, so he could have time to make arrangements. I would be able to offer them a small sum, but I have my own family now and can't bother to feed 3 more stomachs. I'm being made to be this terrible person by my father's side of the family, as his kids have no choice and that I was essentially hurting them. I've been told that I shouldn't do this out of spite and that I should forgive him in his last days. Yet, I can't help it. I want things to go back to when I would just choose to ignore him. I know I won't regret it, but I need to know if I'm in the wrong. Would I be the jerk if I refused to be a bank account to my dying father's other family? Well, what would you do if you were in this situation? Would you financially support that family or no? Please let us know. Of course he should. They deserve it. Karen thinks I must cater to her needs. She gets put in her place and kicked out of the store. This happened in Germany not too long ago. Keep in mind that there are mostly smaller retailers here and not so much big box stores like in other parts of the world, which means that most small stores don't have dedicated store security. At least I've never seen them. I'm also 21, male, 180 centimeters or 5'11". I'm also generally a quiet and respectful man, but tend to have a short fuse about some pet peeves, like strangers touching me or following me around, because I like to keep to myself. Also, I really enjoy non-physical confrontation if someone pushes for it, but I wouldn't start drama on my own. On to the story. The cast. We've got Karen. We've got me, the guy who doesn't work at the grocery store. So I was shopping in a German food store to get some groceries, snacks, and the likes when I ran into an entitled Karen. I was wearing cargo shorts and an AC/DC shirt, so I wasn't exactly looking like a store employee. Never mind that my cart was decently filled with various different items. I was minding my own business when I heard a surprisingly polite voice behind me. Karen. Hey, young man. I turn around and see the future Karen, a bit shorter than me, middle-aged, not the special haircut and a seemingly fake friendly smile. I don't know, just put me off for some reason, combined with her general, nosy, arrogant attitude. Me. Are you looking for something? Yes. Go fetch this item for me, please. At least she was friendly about it, but said it as if nothing was wrong with it. I personally have never seen an employee at a store like this play fetch for a customer. Most they do is either tell or show you where the item is and you have to go get it yourself. Me, trying to smile at her. I'm sorry, I don't work here, but you can find the item over there. I then turned around and went on about my day, but I guess we all know that's not the end of the story. After a few steps, Karen flipped a switch and decided to go crazy as I heard her stomping after me. Karen. What? Do your job, you worthless idiot. You're here to serve me. She growled and grabbed me by the shoulder. Remember, I had a short fuse about being touched, and I don't take too kindly on being berated by rude strangers either. And since Karen decided to push for unnecessary confrontation, I decided that she could get some. Me, turning around and smacking her hand away from my shoulder. First, do not touch me. Keep your hands to yourself. Karen decided to interrupt me and is getting visibly more irate. Me. Shut up! I'm not finished. Also, you can buzz right off with the name calling. Do your shopping yourself. I only got louder when she tried to interrupt me, because I hate it. So she didn't exactly have a chance to interrupt me. Karen. How dare you touch me? Learn some respect. You should help out a single mother. Note, there was no kid around at the time, so I don't know why she said that. It's hard enough for me, so I deserve some nice things. Me. Getting dumped by some guy doesn't exactly sound like an achievement to me, and certainly doesn't mean that I have to cater to your needs when I have other things to do. Karen gasped like a fish, mouth open and stammering. She was so red in the face, I thought she was about to explode physically. Karen. I'm still your elder. You should have respect and do as I say. Be grateful for your elders. Me. You certainly look like a mummy, but that doesn't mean I have to treat you with respect. You obviously don't deserve it, and it's ridiculous that you think I owe you anything. Yeah, it kinda went from about me being a store employee to me having to cater to her needs for whatever reasons, although I don't work neither there nor as a personal butler. And it was right then when a manager turned the corner. I was surprised Karen didn't scream for one yet. Cue the manager asking what the problem is, and Karen explaining that I should be fired for being a worthless human being. She literally told the manager I should not only be fired, but should be put down, like if I was an animal with rabies or something like that. What the heck? As you most likely know, the manager told Karen that I did not work here, but somehow Karen still believed that I should be her personal slave and butler for whatever reason, and the manager and I shared a look. After every reasoning with Karen had failed, I chimed in. Me. If you don't leave me alone right now, I will call the police. I'm going to leave now. I turned and slowly left, where I could hear manager and Karen still arguing behind me, until the manager threatened to call the police if she doesn't leave the store right now. I heard a loud crash and turned my head. Karen had flipped her shopping cart in her rage and power walked out of the store, while the manager called for some cleaning staff to help fix the mess. And that's the end right there. No police involved, to my knowledge. Could be that Karen got in trouble later over the damaged shopping goods and groceries. No false allegations and no physical violence. I didn't get a coupon or a discount, but that didn't bother me since I'm not about that. What would you do if you're in this situation? Would you help Karen or tell her to buzz off? Please let us know. All he had to do was help her find her groceries. Am I the jerk for giving a company my honest opinion on their interview process when they asked for it? I applied for a job a few months ago. It was a completely online work-from-home job regardless of the current situation, so all communication and process was done online. This was for a retail consultant position for the online shoppers. They could seek advice from the consultant if they needed help choosing products. I received an email saying they would like to interview me. Sweet. I got an email link for a Zoom call the next week. I had no idea how many people would be on this call or who I would be talking to. I joined the call and there are like 30 of us on there. The hiring rep tells us all to mute ourselves as we will be listening and not talking. We proceeded to sit through a 2-hour presentation on the company history, their finances, goals, and every little gritty detail that nobody actually cares about. At the end of the presentation, they told us that they had been watching our faces to see how our engagement was during the presentation to determine who would move on to the next interview step. They said they would select 5 people out of the 30 on the call. After the call, they wanted us to write a 3-page essay about a particular topic from a list they provided us. We had 2 hours to turn it in. Well, I did not get selected and received that email the next day. Along with that email was an attached form they wanted reviewing the interview process with a blank box at the end to give them our honest opinion on the interview process. I told them honestly that I found it a bit inappropriate and not very well organized that I had to dedicate 5 hours of my time to an interview for a position they weren't even considering me for. I explained that had I been in the final pool of candidates, it would have been fine, but having me watch a 2-hour presentation on the company and write a 3-page essay just so I can be weeded out in the first step was just not the business. I received a nasty email back from the hiring recruiter saying that they're glad they didn't hire me with that kind of an attitude and just a bunch of other rude stuff. I didn't reply. My boyfriend and mom think that I was out of line and that if I really wanted the job, I wouldn't have an issue with doing all of that work. Again, I wouldn't if I was actually being considered for employment, but I just found it weird that I had to go through all of that as a preliminary screen. Am I the jerk? Edit. A lot of people are telling me that this is an MLM or pyramid scheme. It looks like it, but it definitely wasn't. I found the job on Indeed. They are a company similar to Ulta, Sephora, who sell their own products as well as other brands. The job was basically to be like an online Sephora employee where people could request help matching foundation shades, asking skincare questions, etc. What do you think? Do you agree with this interview process? Or would you have felt the exact same way she did? Please let us know. Entitled mother steals my shopping cart. Entitled daughter gets mad. We've got me, my mom, mom, entitled daughter, and my mom's friend who works at Costco, Steve. This happened a month ago. Alright, here's some background. Me and my mom are both essential workers. My mom is a supervisor at a homeless shelter in New York City, and I babysit for one of her employees. The baby is 6 months old and therefore is high risk for getting sick. I am also in high-risk population because I have asthma. My family shops at Costco because we have a 5-person household. My mom is a single mom with 4 kids, and we buy all of our food wholesale. My mother was a germaphobe years before all of this started, so she carries around hand sanitizer and Clorox wipes everywhere she goes. So about a month ago, me and my mother set out to go to Costco as we do every week. My mother brings her own Clorox wipes to wipe down the shopping carts because the people wiping down carts at the front door don't change their wipes, and they're always visibly dirty. Not faulting Costco, they're doing their best. As soon as we walk in, I see a large teddy bear that I saw last week and I really wanted and didn't have the money on me to pick it up. I got paid earlier that day, so I had the money for the teddy bear on me, so I picked it up that day. As I was about to put it in the cart, my mother told me to hold it because the carts are dirty and she had only wiped off the baby seat in the cart and the cart handle. So we continue our journey around Costco and start picking up our items. We got some mushrooms, orange juice, a bunch of fruit, and 2 types of milk because I'm lactose intolerant. At this point, the cart is about halfway full and my mother leaves the cart with me outside the freezer section so she can pick up the veggies. I turn around to look for these portable cups of guacamole that Costco has, and when I start to walk back to the cart, I see that a woman has our cart. I start looking around to see if she maybe moved my cart, and that was her own, but there was no abandoned cart around. I start staring at our cart and start recounting all of the stuff we picked up so far. Then I saw my mother's plastic bag that she left her purse, Clorox wipes, and Lysol in, so I realized this was my cart. Me. Excuse me, that's not your cart. Entitled mom looks at me like I have 5 heads. Me. That's my cart. Can you please let go of it? Entitled mom blinks at me and doesn't respond. Me. Ma'am, that's not your… Entitled mom puts her dirty leather purse on top of our strawberries and starts to walk away with my cart. At this point, I'm mad. So I run over to the cart and stop the cart with my leg because my hands are full and use my authoritative voice that I used when children were misbehaving back when I was a camp counselor. Me. Please step away from the cart. It is not yours. Entitled mom snaps out a daze. What are you talking about? Pushes the cart onto my leg. Me. Look down. This isn't your cart. Entitled mom looks startled, picks up her purse, and walks away. Me. I sigh and put down the guacamole and begin to switch out the strawberries entitled mom put her purse on. Enter entitled daughter. Did you just scream at my mother? Me. No, she tried to take my cart and I told her to stop. Entitled daughter still yelling. She said that she's sorry. Next time, don't scream at her like that. I step back from entitled daughter. I didn't scream at her, and I really don't care. Please leave me alone. It's over now. I think it's a good time to note that entitled daughter and entitled mom didn't have their masks on, even though it was state ordinance to wear masks in public and Costco policy to wear masks while in store. Entitled daughter was getting in my face while yelling at me. My mom comes back with all the veggies she picked up and starts unloading them into the cart. While she is unloading the veggies, I explain to her what just went down and ask her to wipe down the cart again. Entitled daughter screaming at me across the aisle. She said she was sorry. Me. I don't care, and I wasn't talking to you. Please leave me alone. Entitled daughter. Don't be rude, girl. Mom. I'm sorry. She can have a rude tone sometimes, but she was just telling me what happened so I can wipe down the cart. Entitled daughter. Do you think we're dirty or something? At this point, my mom tells me to ignore her and she wipes down the cart so we can go on with our shopping. A few moments later, my mom's friend Steve walks up to us and asked us what entitled daughter was talking about. Apparently, entitled daughter told Steve, a Costco employee, that me and my mother were harassing her. We explained what happened and went about our day. Entitled daughter also gave me a death stare when I was getting my Costco hot dog after we checked out. Speaking of Costco, have you ever been to Costco? And have you ever tried their free samples? Please let us know. Oh, I just love their free samples. Me too. Am I the jerk for not telling someone I can read lips? I've had hearing loss for most of my life, but it was diagnosed when I was about 7 years old, so I learned to read lips at the same time I was learning to speak. I'm very proficient in reading lips. Whenever I work with someone new, I make sure to let them know that I have hearing loss and to make sure that they are facing me and I'm aware they're talking to me. I've never actually mentioned to any coworkers that I could read lips, but I'm pretty sure most of them at least suspected strongly. A new coworker started, and I did my customary introduction and disclaimer about my hearing. I don't think she believed me because she got very offended when I ignored her. The problem being, she was trying to get my attention from behind me, and I genuinely did not hear her. Once someone got my attention, I apologized to her and pointed out that I did have hearing loss and I wasn't aware that she was talking to me. A few days later, she was venting to a mutual coworker. The only problem was she was facing me and I could read her lips perfectly. After a few minutes, I approached her and let her know that if she was going to crap talk someone, she needed to make sure they couldn't understand her and that I was reading her lips the entire time. I told her I was upset that she wouldn't just come to me and that I did tell her twice I was partially deaf and couldn't hear. She freaked out because apparently I was being rude by reading her lips when she was facing me. I think we all know who the rude one is here, and it's definitely not OP. But do you agree or disagree? How dare she read her lips? I don't work here, Mom. A little background. I've been in the culinary world for over 10 years now, going back and forth between working on the line, savory, and a bakery, pastry. I love both, and although I'm very good at what I do and love to cook and bake, I am by no means a chef. That name is usually for those who run kitchens successfully, plan menus, lead teams of cooks or bakers, and get paid pretty decently. There's a lot more to it than that, I know, but that's the basic explanation. To save me explaining it to my family and friends, I just say I'm a chef, because I understand that they aren't in this world and don't know any better. However, it's come to bite me in the butt a few times, especially with my mom. So more likely than not, my mom will reach out to me for recipe ideas, how to plan her holiday menus, and what goes with what when it comes to food, baking, and alcohol. I'm always happy to help and spread tips and knowledge I've picked up over the years with my family and friends because food is my passion. So here comes the story. Mom had planned a New Year's Eve dinner with me because she knew I was going to be working for the holiday. It always happens. Ah, the life of a chef. She planned a menu of prime rib with potatoes dauphine, fancy word for scalloped, cheesy, creamy potatoes, and green beans almondine, green beans sautéed with almonds and brown butter. She informed me that she hadn't got everything from the store yet and asked if I could go with her to help. I agreed and told her I'd meet her there and then head to her place after to help her cook. After this incident though, I ended up doing all the cooking. We get to the store and she says that she was supposed to be there at 9 a.m. to pick up her presidential cut, fancy way of saying standing rib, of prime rib. It's 1 p.m. She's real late picking up her meat order and she hopes that they still have it because they didn't have it yesterday and I had to order it special. We get to the meat counter, ask for her order, and they inform her that they don't have it. They only have 2 rib cuts instead of the 6 rib cuts she ordered. They inform her that they called her over and over to see if she was coming so that they could continue to set it aside or claim it as a canceled order. Since she didn't answer the phone and wasn't there on time to pick up her order, they cut it up and put it with the rest since 2 rib cuts are the most popular cut from prime rib at their store. This wasn't what she wanted to hear. She starts shouting that she put the order in yesterday and how she doesn't want to buy the 2 rib options and how now their dinner is ruined. Crocodile tears ensue and a manager is demanded. Yes, she's a Karen. More on that for another time. I've got loads of stories. I calmly explained to her that since she was picking things up late, the 2 rib option will be better anyway, because the time for cooking a prime rib at her original choice for size is not going to fit our time frame for dinner. She starts shouting at the manager now, completely ignoring the very person she invited to come along because they specialize in food, me. She keeps saying over and over again about her presidential cut, order, and how they don't know what they're doing, and then decides to drop her trump card. My daughter's a chef. She'll fix this. OP, go back there and tell them what I wanted and show them how to cut it. I'm dumbfounded. Mom, I don't work here, and although I know cuts of meat, I'm not a butcher. I can't, she cuts me off. My daughter's a chef. She'll educate you idiots. OP, show them how to do a presidential cut of prime rib. Get me my order. I've had it at this point. Normally my siblings and I just let mom go on her tirade to save our sanity, shoo her away, and then profusely apologize to her victim later. But this was ridiculous. Me. No, you go get the rest of your shopping list and I will handle the situation. If you're going to use my title that way, then I'll just go home and grab a burger along the way. Forget your dinner. She huffs and walks away as I turn my attention to the poor people behind the counter and the manager of the store that looks bewildered at what was going on. Me. Gents, I'll take 3 orders of 2 rib cuts. I apologize for the scene she has made. They offered to discount the meat, and I refuse. No, her actions should not be rewarded. Y'all have enough on your plate, and you don't need my mother making it worse for you. She's in the wrong, and she knows it. After thanking and apologizing again for the 50th time, I catch back up with my mother and ask her if she's done with her meltdown. She sees the meat order and huffs again, saying, "Whatever," as she throws it in her basket. We made it out of the store alive and head home only to hear her retell her experience to my poor stepfather. I ended up cooking dinner with him that night and summoning her from her room where she went to pout when everything was ready. Everything tasted great and cooked on time. I still feel bad for those poor butchers behind the meat counter that had to endure my mother's Karenisms and hope they enjoyed their New Year's. This is a regular thing with my mom that us kids and my dad, her former husband, have had to put up with over the years. I've got loads of stories and would be happy to share. I'm just not sure which subreddit I'd share those in. Am I the jerk for leaving my sister at home when it was time to go to school? This happened a few months ago, but it's still a point of argument today. I, 16, female, have a 14-year-old sister. I have my own car, and since we both attend the same high school, I'm expected to take her to school with me. My sister, great as she is, has absolutely no sense of urgency when it comes to being on time. She'll deliberately refuse to get out of bed in the morning, takes half an hour minimum to do her hair, and spends so much time primping that she forgets to do necessary things like packing her lunch or taking her medication. I have to go out of my way to wake her up several times in the morning because she refuses to use her alarm and has broken several alarm clocks by throwing them across the room when they go off. I, on the other hand, am annoyingly punctual, and it stresses me out to no end when I'm late because of her. Every single time I've been late this year has been because of her. I'll spend several minutes sitting in my car waiting for her before she comes running out, only to remember that she forgot something and will spend more time looking. I've been late a total of 6 times and end up cutting it close almost every day. My school has a policy that 8 tardies and 1 quarter gives an automatic 3-day suspension. Despite constantly trying to talk to her about it and express that I need her to be on time, she hasn't made any effort. My parents are no help. One day I was waiting in my car for her, nervously tapping my foot and waiting while she dallied. I, looking at the clock, realized I'd have to leave right away to be able to make it on time and decided I'd had enough. I backed out of the driveway and left without her. About 20 minutes later, I got calls from both her and my parents. My mom and sister were furious that I had left her at home and that my mom had to give her a ride. My dad said that he thought it was hilarious and supported me in leaving her. I thought it was totally fair. This way, my sister had to face the consequences of her actions without dragging me down with her. However, many of my friends and family are adamant that it was a jerk move. Am I the jerk? Edit for correction. Thanks to all the positive words. Just wanted to get one thing straight. My sister does not have ADHD. She has an unrelated medical condition that leads to her taking medication in the morning. She's gone through screening for other things before, so we're positive she doesn't have it. It's simply her mindset. Well, what would you do? Would you leave without her? Or would you keep being late because of her? Please let us know. The day I gave my 4 weeks notice. I came to the store on a Wednesday morning to hand in my 4 weeks notice. But when I got there, my colleague was working the checkouts and the customer service by herself. The manager was handling the safe, so she couldn't come and help, and we had to wait for another colleague to finish the unloading of the truck. So, me being a great colleague, I helped the only customer at the customer service to make sure she didn't have to wait for at least 10 minutes to get a pack of cigarettes. And just when I closed the customer service, Karen came around the corner. The customer service does have a little checkout for people with baskets, which Karen had. However, it was closed. And since I was off the clock and I had an appointment later that morning, I was not going to open that checkout for her. Mind you, I had been chatting with the other customer for a while, and around 8 to 10 minutes had gone by at that point. And since I was in my raincoat, which is not even close to the work attire, I thought she would understand the circumstances given the huge line at the other checkout. Okay, on to the actual conversation. We've got me, we've got Karen, we've got Nice Lady, and the manager. Karen puts the close sign in the magazine rack, opens up the exit, and puts her stuff on the counter, aka opens up the checkout herself. Me. Oh, I'm sorry, miss. The register is closed since I'm off the clock. My colleague asked me to help this lady real quick, since no one else could at the time, but there should be someone here in 2 minutes max to help you out. Karen. How dare you? I am a loyal customer, and you cannot treat me like this. I am a widow, and have to do everything by myself. You are going to help me right now, and I will not take no for an answer. I have always worked for my boss without getting paid. Manager. Miss, if I may ask, what is the problem here? She won't help me. Nice lady. This nice girl just helped me get some cigarettes since your colleague asked her to help me out, so I didn't have to wait for 15 minutes. Me. That's right. The checkout was closed since I'm off the clock and only here to give you my 4 weeks notice. She knew about this. Was not a surprise. Manager. Well, miss, so sorry she couldn't help you, but I'm here now so I can help you. Karen. You need to get your workers under control. That little jerk shouldn't have treated me like this. I am a loyal customer. Nice lady. Miss, she is off the clock, and the manager is checking you out right now. Can't you be a bit nicer to this young lady? Karen. Do not mess with me, you dumb jerk. And do not get involved. I'll make your life miserable. Manager. Miss, please stop insulting my coworker and the lady right here. They did nothing wrong. If you say one more bad thing, I will not help you any further, and you can leave without your groceries. The customer left without saying anything else, and the manager, nice lady, and I had a great laugh afterwards. Another fun fact, this woman has been a Karen for at least 15 years. My parents have a hedge in their back garden, which was always maintained by my granddad. Apparently, Karen lives in the same neighborhood and stopped by to ask my mom about the electric hedge trimmer and if my mom could trim her hedge. When my mom told her it was being maintained by her father-in-law, she called her a lying jerk and also told the story of her deceased husband and how she can't do it herself. And I ran into her last week. She gave me the dirtiest look I've ever gotten. It was hilarious. If you enjoyed this video, we've got another one you're going to love. It just popped up on the screen, so come watch this one next and we'll see you when you get there. And support this channel by becoming a member today, and we'll give you a special shout out in our next video. And if you'd like us to make a special video for you or a loved one, come visit us on Fiverr. Link pinned in the comments below.